Let's start with Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Let's do some Radha Jap. Radha, Shri Radha, Radha, Shri Radha, Radha, Shri Radha. We are reading Bhagwat Geeta as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We are in chapter 8, text 4. O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adhibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods like those of the sun and moon, is called Adhidaiva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the Supersoul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adhiyagna, the Lord of Sacrifice. Let's read the purport. The physical nature is constantly changing. Yes. Like we know that our body is changing every day. Every day new cells are getting created. Every day new cells, some cells are dying. Correct? And that's how every day our skin is changing, eyes are changing, hair is changing, body is also changing. Correct? So, material bodies generally pass through 6 stages. They are born, they grow, they remain for some duration, and they produce some byproducts, and they dwindle, and then they vanish. Right? This physical nature is called abhibhuta. It is created at a certain point and will annihilate it at a certain point. Right? Annihilated means destroyed back with malab. Annihilated means it is destroyed back into and it's converted into 5 elements again, right? The conception of the universal form of the Supreme Lord, which includes all demigods and their different planets, is called Adhidaivat, right? And present in the body along with the individual soul is the super soul, a plenary representation of Lord Krishna. Yes. The super soul is called Paramatma or Adi Yagna and is situated in the heart. The word Eva is particularly important in the context of this verse because by this word the Lord stresses that the Paramatma is not different from him. Yeah. The super soul, that is the supreme personality of Godhead, seated beside the individual soul, is the witness of the individual soul's activities and is the source of the soul's various types of consciousness. Yeah. So there are various types of consciousness. That is, one is consciousness, subconsciousness, and unconsciousness. Right. So the soul is the source. So what is working in this consciousness? The soul is working. If soul is not there, there is no amount, no kind of consciousness in a body, right? The super soul gives the individual soul an opportunity to act freely and witness his activities. The functions of all these different manifestations of the Supreme Lord automatically become clarified for the pure Krishna conscious devotee engaged in transcendental service of the Lord. The gigantic universal form of the Lord called Adi Daivata is contemplated by the neophyte who cannot approach the Supreme Lord in its manifestation as Super Soul. The neophyte is advised to contemplate the universal form or Virat Purusha, whose legs are considered the lower planets, whose eyes are considered the sun and moon, and whose head is considered the upper planetary system. Let's move to text 5. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Let's see the purport. In this verse, the importance of Krishna consciousness is stressed. Anyone who quits his body in Krishna consciousness is at once transferred to the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the purest of the pure. Therefore, anyone who is constantly Krishna conscious is also the purest of the pure. Yes. The word smaran means remembering is important. Remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life. If one wants to achieve success at the end of his life, the process of remembering Krishna is essential. Therefore, one should constantly, incessantly chant the Maha Mantra Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya has advised that one be as tolerant as a tree, that is Taror Iva Sahisnuna. There may be no, there may be so many impediments for a person who is chanting Hare Krishna. Nonetheless, tolerating all these impediments, one should continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, so that at the end of one's life, one can have the full benefit of Krishna consciousness. Let's move to text 6. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Yes. So this is also scientifically proven that when a person dies thinking of something, he attains that in its next life or it remains there. Like for example, a person who is thinking about his shop when he dies. Okay. So you will see that the soul is so attached to the shop that it doesn't go ahead in life in its journey. You will see this soul is around its shop. The shop is still haunted by the soul, right? And sometimes if the soul is good, then it takes another birth to come back to this shop only. Like maybe it will take birth of a boy uh who is going to be the owner of this shop in future, or he will have a chance to be the owner of this shop in future. Yeah. So, whatever you are thinking in your mind, in your last breath, is what you attain in your next life. Yes. And this has been proven. So, let's read the purport. The process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body thinking of Krishna attains the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. But it is not true that a person who thinks of something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. This is a point we should note very carefully. How can one die in the proper state of mind? Maharaj Bharat, although a great personality, thought of a deer at the end of his life. Yeah. And so in his next life, he was transferred into the body of a deer. Although as a deer he remembered his past activities, he had to accept that animal body. Of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life are made to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. So, this life creates one's next life. Yeah. As we say that whatever karma or future activities you end up doing in this life decides what kind of body you will get in the next life. If in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. That will help one be transferred to the transcendental nature of Krishna. At least you will achieve transcendental nature of Krishna in your next life. Yes. If one is transcendentally absorbed in Krishna's service, then his next body will be transcendental or spiritual, not material. Yes. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life. Yes. Let's move to text 7. Therefore, Arjun, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting with your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, who will attain me without a doubt. Yes, let's read the purport. This instruction to Arjun is very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them at the same time, think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's name, one will be transferred to the supreme planet, Krishna Lok, without a doubt. Let's move to text 8. 1 second. You just pause. Let's move to text 8. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. Yes, let's read the purport. In this verse, Lord Krishna stresses the importance of remembering him. One's memory of Krishna is revived by chanting the Maha Mantra Hare Krishna. By this practice of chanting and hearing the sound vibration of Supreme Lord, one's ear, tongue, and mind are engaged. This mystic meditation is very easy to practice and it helps one attain the Supreme Lord. Purusham means enjoyer. Although living entities belong to the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord, they are in the material contamination. They think themselves enjoyers, but they are not the supreme enjoyer. Here it is clearly stated that the supreme enjoyer is the supreme personality of Godhead in his different manifestations and plenary expansions as Narayan, Vasudev, etc. Yes. So the devotee can constantly think of the object of worship, the Supreme Lord, in any of his features, that is Narayan, Krishna, Ram, etc., by chanting Hare Krishna. This practice will purify him, and at the end of his life, due to his constant chanting, he will be transferred to kingdom of God. Yoga practice is meditation on the super soul within. Similarly, by chanting Hare Krishna, one fixes his mind always on the Supreme Lord. The mind is fickle, yeah, and therefore it is necessary to engage the mind by force to think of, of Krishna. Yes. One example often given is that the caterpillar that thinks of becoming a butterfly and so is transformed into butterfly in the same life. Similarly, if we constantly think of Krishna, it is certain that at the end of our lives, we shall have the same bodily constitution as Krishna. Let's move to text 9. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond his material nature. Yes. Let's read the purport. The process of thinking of the Supreme is mentioned in this verse. The foremost point is that he is not impersonal or void. One cannot meditate on something impersonal or void. Yes, that is very difficult. The process of thinking of Krishna, however, is very easy and factually stated here. Herein. First of all, the Lord is Purusha, a person. We think of the person Ram and the person Krishna, right? And whether one thinks of Ram or of Krishna, what he is like is described in this verse of Bhagwat Geeta, right? What he is like. The Lord is Kavi, that is, he knows past, present, and future, and therefore knows everything. He is the oldest personality because he is the origin of everything. Everything is born out of him. Yes. He is also supreme controller of the universe. And he is the maintainer and instructor of humanity. He is smaller than the smallest. The living entity is 1/10,000th part of the tip of a hair. But the Lord is so inconceivably small that he enters into the heart of this particle as well. Therefore, he is called smaller than the smallest. As the Supreme, he can enter into the atom and into the heart of the smallest and control him as Supersoul. There, although so small, he is still all pervading and is maintaining everything. We are learning what all are his potencies, right? Although so small, he is still all pervading and is maintaining everything. By him, all these planetary systems are sustained. We often wonder how these big planets are floating in the air. Yeah, it is stated here that the Supreme Lord, by his inconceivable energy, is sustaining all these big planets and systems of galaxies. The word achintya, that is inconceivable, is very significant in this connection. Nobody can actually think of this kind of energy, right? A small boy who is just 5 years old holding a whole Govardhan Parvat under his with his last finger is just impossible, right? God's energy is beyond our conception, beyond our thinking jurisdiction, and is therefore called inconceivable, that is achintya. Who can argue this point? He pervades this material world and yet is beyond it. We cannot comprehend even this material. We cannot comprehend even this material world, which is insignificant compared to spiritual world. So how can we comprehend what is beyond? Achintya means that which is beyond this material world. That which our argument, logic, and philosophical speculation cannot even touch. That which is inconceivable. Therefore, intelligent persons, avoiding useless arguments and speculations, should accept what is stated in the scriptures like the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam and follow the principles they set out. This will lead one to understand. Yes. Let's move to text 10. One who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind, engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes. Let's read the purport. In this verse, it is clearly stated that at the time of death, the mind must be fixed in devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those practiced in yoga, it is recommended that they raise the life force between the eyebrows to the Agnya Chakra. The practice of such chakra yoga involving meditation on the six chakras, that is chakra healing, that we do, is suggested here. A pure devotee does not practice such yoga, but because he is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, at death he can remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his grace. This is explained in verse 14. The particular use of the word yog balena is significant in this verse because without practice of yoga, whether Sat Chakra Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, one cannot come to this transcendental state of being at the time of death. One cannot suddenly remember the Supreme Lord at death. One must have practiced some yoga system, especially the system of Bhakti Yoga. Since one's mind at death is very disturbed, one should practice transcendence through yoga during one's life. Let's end here with Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Let's do some Radha Jap. Radha, Shri Radha, Radha, Shri Radha, Radha, Shri Radha.